Jeff Little with Torqeedo out here testing a Torqeedo ultralight on the Bonafide SS127. But I wanted to take the time to really teach how you maximize the motor's performance regardless of what boat you're on. And that comes down to a couple things. Probably the most important thing is adjusting your weight as far forward as possible. One of the best ways to get the most out of your Torqeedo is to move your own weight, the angler weight, as far forward in the kayak as possible. Many kayaks have this adjustability feature built in. So I would stress to any Torqeedo ultralight owner is before they set up the lengths of their foot control steering, go back there, is that they do it with the seat as far forward as they possibly can. That just gets, the angler weight forward in the boat, which makes the bow of it go down and makes it completely flat once it's in motion. You don't want it like this. And it's really hard to get it like this because we, as kayak anglers, tend to put so much gear that the natural tendency is more like that. So move the seat forward as far as you can. If you have any weight, anything at all that you can move forward so that you're moving your gear weight forward, for instance, putting some things here in the tray or putting other things in this front hatch maybe that you don't access quite as often, that's really just going to get the nose of the boat pushed down, and it's going to flatten it out from nose up to completely flat when you're underway. The number 2 adjustment, it's sort of a toss-up between two things. One is how deep your prop is in the water. You want to have it deep enough that it's grabbing good clean water, and if the water is coming off the back of the boat in a V formation and it's very turbulent, as opposed to sort of a laminar flow hitting that prop, going a little bit deeper is going to get you a little bit better bite of that prop. The other thing is moving the vertical motor pole as far back from the stern as possible. That's going to do two things. One, it's going to allow the boat to turn better and be more responsive the further the motor is from off the back of the stern. But also, again, it's going to feed it that very clean water. The water is going to be very turbulent coming off the back of the boat. You want it as far away from that turbulence as possible so it gets a good bite. This part right here is your steering triangle, and this is what adjusts how deep the motor goes in the water. And you want it just deep enough. Now we're in shallow water. I'll turn down to deep water. Right, just deep enough such that on the top end of the swing. Now mind you, this is when you're in it, so you're going to be pushing down on the boat a little bit more. Just so this prop, as it's moving, isn't sucking air. And you can hear that. You can listen for that motor. It'll sound different, and your speed will actually bog down when it starts to suck air. You'll hear it doing that back there, and you know that, all right, it's too close to the surface. So what we do is I've loosened this one up, and I'm just gonna push that down a little bit. Actually, I pushed it down all the way, but that's okay. We're gonna try that. That gets that prop deeper, and if I needed it deeper than that, I'd obviously move the steering triangle up a little bit more and make that adjustment again. So keep your Allen keys handy to make that adjustment on the fly as you're setting up your motor for proper depth. So for the last item, in this really has more to do with the type of mount that you have than anything, is adjusting the trim. And what that means is you adjust the angle of the vertical motor pipe, which we have right here. Is that stopping here, 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 and we have some adjustability. This particular mount was made in the shop at Yak Attack. Is something that I can use to test bigger motors, 1,000-watt motors, and adding more power to these systems. But this is the ultralight, and this is the adjustability that Luther built into this in terms of trim. This motor is fairly straight, which is a good thing. You want that prop pushing backwards, whereas if it's tucked in like this, it's going to be pushing the water down towards the bottom, and if it's angled up too high, it's going to rooster tail and push it up to the surface. Good speed. Again, the 4 things that you can adjust are making your boat level, getting your prop as far back from the stern as possible, getting your prop as deep as it can go for the fishery that you're fishing, and then also adjusting the trim, where the vertical motor pipe can be in or back. You really want it straight up and down, and that really depends on the type of stern that's on your kayak. There's a lot of different mounts in progress right now. A lot of them that are that are available. Obviously, you have the ball mount that Torqeedo's making. There'll be another development that'll fit in that 4-bolt pattern that's on the stern of a lot of kayaks. Yak Attack is producing a mount. It won't be this exact one, but it will follow this pattern of 4 bolts. Kevin Dismuke makes a very nice mount that works with a variety of kayaks, so you can contact him on Facebook. There's Island Hopper outboard motors that makes ones that are Torqeedo, that work with Torqeedo motors. B&C Power Yaks down in Florida makes some great mounts. They make ones that work with kayaks that maybe don't have a flat spot big enough for that round, that round ball mount that comes with the Torqeedo Ultralight 403. Bass Yaks makes them that work with the Torqeedo Ultralight 403. There's a bunch of them out there, so do your research, and find one that works well with your particular boat, and then really just work to adjust the things that I mentioned, the 4 things: making the boat flat, moving the prop back, moving the prop down, and then adjusting the trim of that vertical motor pipe. And that should allow you to get the most out of your Torqeedo Ultralight 403.